Hi, so today we're going to go over wellness, and this can be applied in a group setting. So in a business, if you're looking at wellness programs, it can be applied personally if you're looking to make personal change to your own wellness. This is the foundation of wellness. And there will be future videos. I'll probably do one just for individual coaching, and then I may do a separate one just specific for businesses. But again, this is just a really foundational educational video for you to review if you're interested in either or both topics. Super powerful stuff. So let's get started. So this is what we're all looking for, right? It's a picture that really just encompasses freedom, really. And when we incorporate wellness and balance into our life, we can have a life that feels like this, especially when we're moving to improve ourselves, improve our environment, work towards a better life and better health. It's really freeing. It's a feeling. So wellness is built on different platforms. So there are different areas of wellness. Of course, you have physical wellness, and is usually what people think of. People think of diet and exercise. I'm here to tell you that there are certainly more areas to wellness than meets the eye at first glance. So again, just reiterating this feeling of freedom and being free of behaviors that perhaps, or thought patterns that held you back previously. So here's just oh my gosh, I just can't get out of my own way. So here's just a wheel. Here, I'll put myself over here. Here's a wheel of different areas of wellness focus. So we've got social, intellectual, emotional, occupational, environmental, financial, spiritual, and physical. Today, I'm mostly going to be talking about the physical, but remember that a lot of these principles, once you figure out your own mind, you figure out behavior change, you can apply these to other areas. I think that applying it to the physical makes the most sense to do that first, because those are results we can see. They are in, I don't want to say immediate, but it's a physical change. It's a measurable change. Financial is also a measurable change because you can plug in numbers and do those sorts of things. And so that could be another area that would be great to track. But I really started with physical change first. And I really liked that because I could measure, I could see, oh, my waist, I'm fitting in different size pants, and it's a behavior that you're doing 3 times a day, right? You're eating 3 times a day. So it's very reinforcing as soon as you get some of these things down. So move myself out of the way once again. Behavior, everybody's trying to figure out behavior change. Basically, every company in the entire world, that's what is focused on this. They want to change your behavior. This is why Google is so big, because they're tracking you. The iPhone is reading your expressions. They're getting to be able to read your blood pressure, the way you react when you read a certain ad. It's really driven by ad spend. They want to maximize ad spend. And so there's a lot of information about behavior. Now, as of recently, the studies have moved to the data that's backed by iPhones, like I said, Google, social media, those sorts of things. In the past, they had relied on surveys, which cause problems. People are not authentic when they take surveys. They rush through them. They don't read the questions. Some people even lie just to mess with the survey taker. You know, if somebody calls you and they ask you a bunch of questions, sometimes you'll give them a wrong name, like senior butts or something silly like that. So surveys are notoriously inaccurate. However, these companies absolutely love the idea that they can get more biometric data from the phone, from the iWatch, from the Fitbits, from all these different devices that people are wearing, using every day. So with that kind of foundation of where this information is coming from, you know, how is this even a science? It has not been a science in the past, really, in my opinion. When I first got into sociology, a lot of the scientific community really poo-pooed sociology. It wasn't considered actual real science because the data sets were not accurate, and it wasn't as foundational as maybe like a biology or something like that. But now I believe this field is absolutely exploding because of the data that they are able to use to drive these studies is more accurate. So when you're looking at behaviors, you're either trying to add a behavior or remove a behavior. Okay, so you're either trying to add exercise and diet, you know, good foods into your diet, or you're trying to remove something, remove smoking, remove drinking, remove junk foods, right? So there are a lot of different behaviors that could be listed here, but these are the 4 main behaviors that insurance companies and governments focus on when they are looking at information in a population. They want to control these 4 areas as much as possible to drive to an outcome in an aggregate population. So again, this can be applied to the individual as well. Most individuals that have health issues, the part that they can control is driven by behavior. So for example, if somebody has type 2 diabetes, that is as a result of their diet and perhaps lack of exercise or maybe drinking too much alcohol, if they change their behaviors, they could reverse or improve their diabetes. So obesity, I'm picking on obesity today because this is where most of the money is going. As far as this is where most of the data is compiled and captured. There's quite a bit of data that the government collects from VA hospitals, veterans hospitals, because they own that data. So they own the medical records of the veterans, and they can look at those charts and imagery because they own that data. If you go to a private healthcare practitioner, that private healthcare practitioner is not sharing those CT scans, let's say, and MRIs with the government. Whereas if a veteran is going into a VA hospital, the government has access to compile that data and come up with perhaps solutions or protocols, or define a diagnosis based off of a set of symptoms or circumstances or imagery. Okay, so outside of that, we have obesity. A lot of countries are tracking this right now because it's really on the rise, and it's been on the rise. I know that's not, and this isn't breaking news, right, to any of us, but you'll see, I think this is a really good visual to see why countries and governments are spending so much time looking at this. Okay, so, and insurance companies. So the average annual expenditure per capita to obesity. So these are projected costs on average, based off of the acceleration of obesity in these countries. So as what we've seen, and this isn't necessarily in any reports, this is just my personal interpretation of the data, as countries adopt a Western style diet, obesity starts to spike. And you'll see that in some other graphs that I have here. The United States is number one. Again, not breaking news. $644.84 per capita annually. Cost is going towards obesity. Okay. All right. And one thing as I read through these documents that just absolutely drives me crazy is everyone's familiar with this, right? I think everybody has seen a food pyramid. Now, the government is stepping back away from the food pyramid. They're getting into this plate model, and I'll show you that here in another slide. But I think you'll see after this presentation that this is not the way. This is not where you should be getting your nutritional advice. If you're following the nutritional advice from the CDC or FDA or a .gov website, you're probably going to fall into some of these statistics that we're going to be looking at today. It's the unfortunate truth. So here at the bottom, you have refined carbohydrates as the biggest base of your pyramid. Based off of aggregate statistical information, this has been construed to be the number one piece. Part of this is because of the Mediterranean diet, and I don't subscribe to any specific diet. I don't think that there is one right, correct, all-in diet for every single person on the planet. I'm more of an ancestral based, that's more my philosophy around diet. What did your ancestors eat in that region of where you're from, where your genealogy is from, to bring you to a more healthy eating habit for you in particular. Also, driving towards more whole foods. This is why I absolutely do not like this pyramid at all. If we were just to remove this here completely, this bottom piece completely, and maybe make this more into a square and just say like 25, 25, 25, 25, 25% fruits and, 25% vegetables, 25% fruits, 25% meat, 25% fat, you would probably be, most people would probably be better off if they just got rid of the refined carbs. But people don't want to hear that. People don't want to hear that they have to give up their pasta, breads, and cereal. We've been programmed to think that a healthy person gets up in the morning and has cereal. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Eat your Wheaties. I mean, there's been years and years of programming and commercials and magazines that have seeped into your subconscious. Maybe you're aware of it or you're not aware of it, telling us that we need to eat cereal or a refined carbohydrate first thing in the morning. That, for most people, is probably the very worst time in the entire day to have carbohydrates. I am not going to try to go off too much on a tangent here, but most people, as you will see, have some sort of insulin resistance, and they need to delay that insulin spike until later in the day. You want to have kind of a steady insulin release throughout the day rather than this. This is why people are on this sugar roller coaster. They spike in the morning and they drop off, and then they need coffee to keep themselves going in the afternoon, and then maybe they need some more sugar in the afternoon because the afternoon slump, right? Whereas if somebody maybe just either didn't eat breakfast or maybe skipped breakfast and had some eggs, had some high protein, maybe a little bit of fat in the morning, they would be able to have a more sustained blood sugar throughout the entire day and hold off for carbs at night for most people. So anyway, I went off on a tangent. So these are obesity trends in children aged 5 to 19 from 1975 to 2016. So you can see here on the bottom, I've got all my, there's a source listed down here if you're interested. United States is this very top line. Surprise, surprise, we're #1. And you can see here, these are the prevalence of obesity. So this isn't overweight. This isn't the overweight category. This is obesity. These are percentages. We're almost up to 25%. Almost 1 in every 4 people in the United States is obese. At least 1 in 20. I mean, if you carry this line, right? Or 1 in 5, I mean, 20%. A little over 20%. And here you'll see other countries listed here. So we've got Chile, China. You can see China was way down here. And as they've incorporated McDonald's, more Western style eating, up and up and up and up and up and up. So what is going on here? Every country here across the spectrum. We've got Denmark, who's pretty flat there. A lot of fish, a lot of fatty fish. Japan is staying steady. They've stuck more to their traditional diet probably than China. And we see this in indigenous populations as well. I don't have any charts on that, but it's pretty consistent. Like I said earlier, as soon as you see groups, countries, states incorporate more of, or tribes, a group of people incorporating more of a Western style diet, the chart just does this. And then as I'm going through dietaryguidelines.gov, because like I said, this is the website, this is the organization that has created the food pyramid in the past, and they've rebranded themselves several times, and now they're onto this plate because people were really upset with the food pyramid. There's been quite a bit of backlash about the food pyramid over the years, and so they've tried to re-engineer because these numbers are so bad. These numbers are so bad. So adherence to their protocols. There's not a lot of variance here. It's not like people were adhering to their guidelines and that's dropped off over the years and that correlates with the uptick. People have been adhering to what these people put out and the guidelines they put out by about 60%. From 2005, and this goes until 2016. I don't know why they don't have more recent data in here. I pulled this from their most recent report. I believe it was 2020. Might have even been 2021. And I didn't pick every single health condition. I didn't want to pick apart every single health condition. I wanted to just focus on diabetes, overweight, and obesity, because those are the ones we can really control for the most part. Like I said, type 1 diabetes is going to be completely different, but most people that are diabetic, it's that type 2 diabetes. So we can do better there as a group. Overweight and obesity, that is that's comes down to the individual. If every individual does better here, we can do better collectively here, right? So overweight and obesity, 74% of adults are overweight or have obesity. Adults 40 to 59 have the highest rate of obesity at 43%. Of any age with adults 60 or over have a 41% rate of obesity. So it takes time for people to get to these levels. Childhood obesity is also off the charts. It's got the same curve in the chart. It's going up. And what happens in most circumstances, like the average person, let's talk about the 75% of people. They go to college, they drink too much, they gain the college 10 or college 15. Then they start a job, a desk job. They stop doing sports. Every year after they stop doing sports, they gain 2 to 4 pounds a year. You add on 10 years to that, 2 to 4 pounds a year, that's 20 to 40 extra pounds on top of the college 15, right? So now you're looking at 30 to 50 pounds that someone is now overweight from when they were a teenager. Now, these younger generations that have a higher rate of obesity, it's just a compounding problem. If you're starting out as a teen going into college and you're already dealing with those factors of moving into a desk job from being more active and having a stronger metabolism as a younger person, now you're getting into morbid obesity and things like that a lot faster. 11% of Americans have type 1 or type 2 diabetes. And this statistic has been very consistent over the years. Almost 35% of adults have prediabetes. So 1 in 3 people in America are pre-diabetic. Many of them do not even know that they're pre-diabetic. A lot of times when we implement these wellness programs, part of the goal is to unveil these hidden conditions, these conditions that people haven't checked their blood sugar in 5 years. People don't know that they're pre-diabetic. And at least if you can catch someone while they're in the pre-diabetic stage, you can move them into, hopefully motivate them to get their diet in line with something that's a lot more healthy and reverse that as much as you can. 90% of adults who are diabetic are also overweight. We all know that this is behavior driven. So this is the new layout for the food pyramid. It's not the food pyramid anymore, but it's the food pyramid. It's just laid out in a different way. So make half of your grains whole foods. So they want you to have grains here, focus on fruits, vary your vegetables, vary your protein. They've broken this out into percentages. I don't have that here, but it ends up being very similar to the food pyramid. It's just rebranded in a new way. So we know that the food pyramid doesn't work. We know that taking advice from a government agency is probably not going to bode very well for your health. Unfortunately, a lot of doctors take any kind of medical recommendation from CDC or FDA. This is because it helps them with their liability insurance. You know, if you're advising someone and you don't follow a CDC guideline, and they come back and sue you, that's a liability to the doctor. If the doctor follows a CDC guideline or FDA guideline and somebody comes back and sues them, they're like, hey, I was following the standard guideline, right? So that's another topic. And I'm not here to address all the issues within our healthcare system at the moment. But what we can do is recognize that there's a problem and that perhaps the information that is out there isn't correct and that we need to change course. And the only person that can change it is you. You are the person that can change the outcome of your own life. I can't make you eat more vegetables and more protein and get rid of, empty calories. Nobody can force you to really do anything. You yourself have to take on that onus and figure out why you're not holding yourself in a high enough regard to take care of yourself. So a lot of this comes down to self-esteem. But these are some of the things, and I will get into some of my personal story. I don't want to take this whole time up in this presentation to talk about how I learned this stuff, why I'm so confident in what I'm saying today. I'm not a medical provider. I'm not a specialist as far as an MD or anything like that. It's just all of the things that I've learned from the School of Hard Knocks in working on myself and helping other people as much as I can, and also working within the wellness community for health insurance and wellness programs. And being interested in this stuff, I've been, into school, and I was interested in sociology. So I've always been fascinated with group information and human behavior. So how do we change? First, you have to be aware of the issue. If you think that following the food pyramid and making 50% of your calories come from grains, and that's not working for you, maybe you are putting in all this effort to do the right thing and it's not working for you, but you keep doing it because that's all you know, because that's what people around you are telling you that you need to do. So sometimes just recognizing, finding out what the problem is, and then also recognizing your thoughts and feelings surrounding the behavior. So for instance, if you're a smoker, there may be thoughts and feelings associated around smoking a cigarette, and taking that time, doing that inner work to uncover what thoughts that you're having, what's triggering the sensation to smoke, the desire to smoke, what's triggering the desire to want to reach for the cookie in the cookie jar, what's causing you to want to just get through that bag of chips and mindlessly eat in front of Netflix, right? And oftentimes replacing that behavior with one that is better. So for instance, maybe you're not going to get rid of your munchies, your desire to chew on something and snack to distract yourself from your feelings. Maybe that's not going to completely go away right away. Maybe you recognize that as an issue and you're having a bad day. Instead of reaching for the bag of Lay's potato chips, maybe we can reach for rice crackers because they're not as calorically dense. Yeah, they're still empty calories per se, but they're not as high in calories. Or maybe we can reach for an apple and see if that works, if that satisfies us. Or maybe we can reach for a carrot, just something to give us the crunch. Like, there are other things that we can try to do as a crutch to get us past some of the behavioral habits that we have created. Reframing the wanted behavior. So oftentimes when you're trying to introduce a new behavior, sometimes you have a negative association with that new behavior. Oh, people that do that are snobs. People that do that are not my people. You are rejecting that identification. You don't want to identify as that person. You don't want to let go of you're tying your current identity to the smoking or to the overeating, and then you're having a negative thought towards people that, let's say, go to the gym. Oh, I don't want to be one of those people. They're, crazy and working out all the time. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but I'm just trying to point out some things that I've noticed over the years in changing my own behavior that helped me. So willingness to change. So of course, once you acknowledge that there's a problem, we're not always ready to take the step towards change. So finding the willingness to change is, again, more inner work. Recognizing what are going to be my roadblocks to making this change. Are there going to be economic repercussions? Are there going to be physical repercussions? Are there going to be social repercussions? So for instance, let's say you're an alcoholic and you're a bartender. You're probably going to have to quit being a bartender for at least a little while before you can quit drinking. I'm sure that there are people out there who are bartenders that have quit drinking, but that would be a very difficult road to hoe. It would probably be easier if you separated yourself from the bar for a little while before you completely quit drinking, right? So that could have an economic impact on the person that's working in an environment, or even just working in an unhealthy environment, right? Maybe you're drinking a lot because your job is stressful, or you're traveling a lot and it's impacting your family and you want to make a change. That's going to have an economic impact in some way. A physical roadblock. So let's say you've been in a car accident, or you are injured in some way, and you're not able to get to do the exercises that you once enjoyed, or that you do enjoy, or that you want to do. Recognizing those roadblocks and trying to find solutions for them. Maybe you can't run anymore, but maybe we can walk. Maybe you can't walk anymore, but maybe we can get you on a recumbent bike. You know, and then once you identify what those roadblocks are, even though they seem depressing and nobody really wants to address them, once you address them and face them head on, you're more likely to be able to find a solution. Social ramifications. So someone that's making a change to their diet per se, it's going to impact their spouse and the rest of their family. So there may be some social impacts, some social backlash. So let's say a husband wants to change his diet and his wife does all the cooking. You know, these are all social, might sound small to some people, but these are big deals to some people, and they're things that have to be addressed and noted up front as roadblocks and hurdles that we have to overcome. Finding solutions. So finding solutions is journaling. Again, just a lot of internal work, looking internal, talking with a friend, talking with a coach, talking with a counselor, and going introverted a little bit, going reflecting inward and trying to catch the thoughts that are coming through your mind as you're going through these changes. And sometimes you'll be driving and you'll say, I don't feel like I'm the sort of person who deserves to eat a salad right now. I'm mad at myself, so I'm gonna have a stop at the gas station, get a Snickers. And you'll be like, wait, what? I think that, you know, and a lot of these thoughts were subconscious at some point, but if you ask yourself to be more mindful of your thoughts, you'll start recognizing these thoughts and these patterns that occur if you do the work. Continued motivation to cement change. So one of the hardest things is holding on to that change long enough to make it a habit. So you may have enough willpower in you to get you through a day or 3 days or a week. And that can really run people down, exhausting all that willpower every single day. And at some point they just say F it and they quit and they go back to their old behavior. So again, this is a continued work. It's a practice. If you stop working on yourself, you're going to go backwards. It's like being on an escalator. And I even put that here on my bullet points. It says prevent the stagnant escalator effect, which means everyday life is an escalator, and it's an escalator headed down, and you're on the escalator trying to go up. And if you are working on yourself, you're going up that escalator. If you stop, it's just going to take you right back down to the floor that you started on. So these are repeated practices. Oftentimes you have to build momentum and start small. Maybe it's just getting up and journaling every day to start. And once you kind of start cementing that habit of writing every day, Maybe you start incorporating a positive podcast or a positive message or something positive into your life to help motivate you to go on the walk or eat the salad or instead of the chips or something like that. Okay. And repeat practices that work for you specifically. Everybody has their own way, their own style, their own quirks, things they look forward to, reward systems that you can build in. So don't be afraid to try on other people's habits, but maybe you try 10 habits of other people's, 10 different morning routines that other people put on their social media or YouTube or podcast, and only one works for you. That's fine. You know, at least you found one thing that works, and you try the other 9, and now you've done that work. You know that that doesn't work for you, and you at least hold on to that one habit, and then you can keep trying new things and see how things go. So what's blocking change? Social and group behavior is one category, and then individual. So like I was talking about, we look at the group for wellness when we're looking at insurance plans and wellness programs for businesses. And then we look at the individual for individual coaching, of course, and vetting individual coaches. So social group behavior. So others around you may criticize your change. So if you have for instance, if you're trying to incorporate a wellness program into your business and you've got a toxic work environment, maybe one person in the company, maybe the HR person, human resources person, really wants this wellness program, and he or she is the only one that wants it, and the CEO is not backing it and not following it. He's bringing in pizza every Friday. It's not going to work, because he's the leader. He or she, the CEO, is the leader. So if the leaders of the business are not behind the initiative, it's not going to work. Others around you may criticize you. So if you're at work and you're trying to make a change and you're not eating the pizza with the rest of the staff, you're going to be the black sheep, right? You're going to be the black sheep in the group at work. You're going to be the black sheep at home. If your whole house is eating one way and then you start eating another, that's going to be hard. That's going to be another situation where we as humans tend to compare ourselves to other people. We want to look for the black and white, team red versus team blue. Everybody wants to be in these sports teams allegories, right? And so again, goody two-shoes at work that are following the wellness program and they're brown nosers, and then you got the 80% that are rebelling against the other team. So you may get this team dynamic where one team's against another team and it starts getting cliquey and things like that. Following others' patterns. So humans love patterns. People do end up following the herd. So again, if you have a group situation and you have one person or a group of people rebelling against an initiative, a health initiative, they may be sneaking in candy. I mean, it turns into almost like children in a classroom, right? Like the teacher says no candy, and then next thing you know, you got a kid bringing in candy and selling it to all the other kids, you know? So that can happen as well. Changing one's behaviors affects others. So just keep in mind that when you make a change, it's not always going to be embraced by other people. There may be people in your life that go, wait a minute, this isn't the person I knew. I don't even know you anymore. What's wrong with you? Where did the person I knew go? And that's okay. Give people time to get used to the new version of you, the newer, better version of you. And one thing that may happen is you may have a change in relationships. You may have a change in friendships. You may feel alone at some times during this process. At some point, you may need to find other support relationships. So for instance, if you have a spouse that's not supporting a change, you might have to get some extra therapy or a counselor or something behind you to support you while your spouse is adjusting to the new version of you, right? So you have to give people time. You have to expect these things. You can't take it personally. All you can do is focus on you. That's all you can do. Team mentality and segregation. I already talked about that. Individual behavior. So again, very similar to the group in many ways. There's overlap here, but individuals tend to focus on, I don't have time. I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to go to the grocery store. I don't have time to do all these things I need to do to be healthy. So one solution to that is to practice time management. If you don't have time for an activity that is improving your health, you have a time management problem. In the long run, if you look at your body as an investment, you are going to have more time later in life because you can do more and be more if you're taking care of yourself now. I promise you that if you don't take care of yourself now, you're going to end up in the hospital and in a confinement center and in a group home sooner, most likely, than the person that's taking care of themselves. So you're going to, in an aggregate, if you look at your life as an aggregate, you'll have more time if you take care of yourself. So in dealing with the day-to-day, I understand that it may feel like you don't have time, but you will find the time. So you will find the time if it's a priority for you, if you make it a priority in your life. Physical limitations. So we all have physical limitations. You know, I'm not going to be dunking basketballs like Shaq, right? I'm not 7 foot, whatever. However, there are people with more physical limitations than others. Maybe it's a quadriplegic, maybe someone is a quadriplegic, or maybe someone has just had knee surgery and they can't walk the way they're used to walking. There are all these circumstances that pop up in this process. So be kind to yourself, acknowledge what your limitations are, and be realistic with that. It's not always roses and rainbows all the time. So of course, try to reframe that and see what you can do, right? Make sure you're going to physical therapy. Maybe you've given up on physical therapy because you feel like it's not getting any better. This is something that, these are all goals that you can work with someone to help you come up with in these situations. Financial limitations. So maybe you can't afford the Peloton, right? Especially when everybody was on lockdown and we were all confined to our homes. Not everybody could afford to get the Peloton. So it was a lot more convenient if you could afford the Peloton to stay in shape. But if you couldn't, then we had to find other ways of getting our exercise in without the Peloton. So yes, finances can make things more accessible, bring in some convenience, but doesn't mean that it's impossible. There's usually a solution. There's usually something you can do despite your limitations. Education and belief systems. So again, this is going back to the original slides. I was trying to draw a comparison that perhaps the programming and the information that we've received around nutrition and health is incorrect. Like, we've been trying it this way for so long and we're in such dire straits. People are sick from their behaviors and their eating habits. Maybe part of the problem is people's belief systems and education around food. So I would implore you to remain open-minded. I would implore you to seek different opinions, look into different diets, try on different pants, see which one fits, right? Some people, the vegan diet works great. Other people, the pescatarian diet works great. Other people, like I said, the Mediterranean diet works great. Other people, keto is, a godsend. So you don't have to pigeonhole yourself to a diet forever. It's just trying on different clothes and seeing which ones work for you, which foods make you feel the most satiated, and which foods cause the least amount of gastrointestinal problems as possible. So I will probably talk about some of this other stuff that I've been through personally and trying to find foods that work best for me in another video. But yeah, these are just some suggestions that I have. Thoughts, feelings, emotional. So that falls in the emotional category. Thoughts and feelings, emotions that we have regarding certain behaviors, whether we're trying to add a behavior, replace a behavior, or get rid of a behavior completely. We have strong emotional ties to those behaviors. And oftentimes we can feel alone in the process. We can feel like our best friends have betrayed us, even though it's just a behavior, it's just a thing like a cigarette or a drink. You can feel like there's no hope, or you're in this alone, or you have this I'm getting to the point is that you have a very strong emotional attachment sometimes to these behaviors. And it will take a conscious effort for you to get past and retrain your brain to get new emotional responses to new behaviors. But it's possible. You can do it. So please like and subscribe. I've got this sunlight getting in my eyes here. I was trying to get some natural light in this room. But please reach out to me if you have any questions, feedback. Like I said before in my previous video, this lissaserenity@gmail.com is more the coaching side. Melissa at drman.com is my wellness programs, my health insurance and employee benefits business. So please feel free to reach out to me there. Would love to hear from you. Please like the video. If there's anyone that you know that may benefit from anything I've said in this video, please share it. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me.